Ms. Schroepel, if you would do me a huge favor and explain to the class what happened at 11:26 p.m. on November 22nd, 1963, the day of the assassination. What happened at police headquarters?
First kind of took a chance, but charged Oswald with the murder of James Tippett.
No.
Kennedy.
Close. You're close. He charged him with the assassination of President Kennedy. Okay, he already had enough on Tippett. Okay, right? He already had enough on Tippett to have no problem charging him, but he had really not a lot of good evidence on Kennedy. And we said why. Okay, they had no evidence tying Oswald to the rifle that they found on the 6th floor of the depository. They had no proof that the rifle belonged to Oswald. They had no eyewitnesses putting Oswald on the 6th floor, and they had a very non-cooperative suspect. But they had it in their mind, they had to get this guy charged by the end of the day. So Fritz did take a chance, exactly like Sarah said, and they charged Oswald to murder President Kennedy at 11:26, even though they didn't have a ton on him. Why could they hold him, Josh? Why were they able to hold him, even though they didn't have much on Kennedy?
Because they had him on Tippett.
Because they had everything on Tippett.
Wait, why did they charge him so early, since they already had him holding?
Because they wanted him by the end of that day. You think about it, that's a great question. She said, why did they charge him? Why did they wait till later, next day or two? Well, the problem is, you have the President of the United States murdered in your town, and you want to get this taken care of. So they had it in their mind that they were going to charge him by the end of the day, and they really thought they'd have more, maybe even a confession out of him. But he, as we've talked about, was just kind of goofy. So they just said, we're going to charge him and take our chances. We got him on Tippett, and if we don't get him on Kennedy, at least we got him. Okay, that was their idea. So let's move to Saturday, November 23rd, 1963, and talk about what happened there. Okay? Now, what was kind of weird is when they charged Oswald at 11:26 p.m. on the 22nd, they didn't tell him that he had been charged. Okay? And I'm going to tell you kind of how he finds out. And he finds out the next day on the 23rd. Now, let's move to 12:10 a.m. This would be very early the morning of the 23rd, right after midnight. Okay?
What time is it?
12:10 a.m. So it's just right after midnight. Okay? But it's the next day, the 23rd. What Captain Fritz does early in the morning on the 23rd is he confers with other police officials within the department. And what are they getting pressured? Who wants to see Oswald? The press. They've got a chance to see the rifle. They've seen Oswald a few times, while they've marched him around the 3rd floor. Well, they're getting pressure for the press to see Oswald. So the police officials decide to take Oswald back to that lineup room where they have done those lineups, so the press can get some pictures of him. Okay, they've got to cooperate a little bit here. So early in the morning on the 23rd, Captain Fritz makes the decision after conferring with other police officials. The press is on us. Let's give them their pictures. We'll take him down to the lineup room and let the press take some pictures. The ground rules were they were not to ask Oswald any questions. They were only to take pictures. Okay, that's the ground rules. So, police officials decide to take Oswald back to the lineup room so the press can get some pictures of him. And the press were given ground rules that they may take photos, but they were not to ask any questions of Oswald. Well, Oswald was a showman, so to speak. So as soon as he walked into that platform of the room and stood there for pictures, he started talking to the reporters. Okay? He started conversing with them. Well, what did the reporters take this as when he started talking to them? That they could talk to him, which wasn't the deal. Okay? So Oswald gets in there while they're taking his pictures and he decides to start talking to the reporters. Well, the reporters take that as a cue. Well, it must be okay to talk to him then. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had him talking to us. Well, the first question a reporter asked Oswald is, quote, "Did you kill the president?" Okay? First question they asked him, did you kill the president? Here was his response. And again, you don't have to try to write this down. You can get it off the video if it comes up. He said, "No, I have not been charged with that. In fact, nobody has said that to me yet. the first thing I heard about it is when a newspaper reporter in the hall asked me that question. Okay, so he doesn't know he's been charged with anything. When he said, did you kill a president? He didn't say yes or no if he killed the president. He said, no, I have not been charged with that. Nobody, in fact, nobody has said that to me yet. The first thing I heard about it is when the newspaper reporters in the hall asked me that question. Well, after he said that, one of the reporters said, well, you know you have been charged. And he said, he kind of looked at it, what did you say? He said, you know you have been charged. So at that moment when he made the comment that, you know, he hasn't been charged and nobody really said anything to him, one of the reporters informed Oswald that he actually had been charged, which kind of startled him. But he didn't lose his composure. And I mean, as soon as they asked him that question and told him that, those police officers took him out and the pictures were done. Because they could see this turn into a circus. Okay? So Oswald, the point is Oswald finds out he's charged with the murder of President Kennedy from the media. Because they knew it before he did. Okay? Well, when they took him out of the room, they took him down and at 12:30 a.m., remember we're in a.m., early in the morning, they took his mug shot for the first time. They took his mug shot. I have a picture that I should have brought it, but anyway, took his mug shot. Okay, so nothing really happened from 12:30 a.m. after they took his mug shot until 10:10 a.m. that morning. And that's when President Johnson and FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover had a conversation back in Washington about the interrogation and investigation that was going on in Dallas. So at 10:10 a.m., the morning of the 23rd, Lyndon Johnson is speaking with FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover in the President's office about the happenings in Dallas, the investigation in Dallas. And basically what Johnson was telling Hoover is, I want you to make sure that this investigation's done by the book. We don't want any mistakes here. We want to find out what happened. So President Johnson brings in FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover in at 10:10 a.m. the morning of the 23rd, and they discuss the investigation in Dallas, and Johnson instructs Hoover to make sure the investigation's done by the book. Okay? Meanwhile, back in Dallas, what is Fritz still looking for?
Confession.
Well, or a break of some kind in this thing because he doesn't have Oswald on too much. Well, he gets a huge break because they find an order form for the rifle that was used in the assassination. They find an order form. Now, you probably don't understand this, but I'm going to show it to you, okay? This is a book, magazine called The American Rifleman, okay? And I'm just going to show it to you. This is just a copy. I actually have the book, but I didn't bring it in because it might be worth more than don't. I don't have the book, but I have this edition, okay? This is an edition of the February 1963 magazine called The American Rifleman, okay? It's basically a magazine like Field and Stream or any other outdoorsy magazine that was published at that time in history in 1963. Okay? Now, this is one of the pages inside The American Rifleman. Kind of interesting because this isn't what you'd see today with all of our gun control concerns and all that.
Look at that, $29.88 for a rifle on a grand.
Okay, now I want you to look at this. You see this order form down the bottom right-hand corner? They found this order form. Okay, and in the order form, this rifle that you look at, can you find the one that maybe kind of looks like the one that we've been talking about on this page? Anybody find it? How about right here? And how much is that rifle without the scope? $12.95, isn't it? 88 cents. And if you buy it with the scope, $19.95. Well, they found this order form right here. Okay? And guess who ordered the rifle?
Oswald. Marina.
A. Heidel. A. Heidel was the person that ordered the rifle. And guess what? The post office box in which the rifle was delivered was rented by Lee Harvey Oswald. So Fritz has got himself a break in the case. So again, the order form showed that the person who ordered this rifle was A. Heidel, which was the alias that Oswald used at the time. And the post office box in which the rifle was delivered was a box rented by Lee Harvey Oswald. And he ordered this rifle on March 12, 1963 from Klein's Sporting Goods from an ad in the American Rifleman February 1963 issue, which you have.
What did he order?
He ordered it March 12th from Klein's Sporting Goods, and here's what I mean by Klein's Sporting Goods. If you look at this order form, it says Klein's Sporting Goods. This is the ad for Klein's Sporting Goods that's inside the American Rifleman, which was a February 63 issue. So he used that alias, A. Heidel. He paid $19.95 for the rifle, which included the scope. They shipped it on March 20th. So he ordered it on March 12th. They got the order. They shipped it on March 20th to that post office box. It was sent COD. And they used to do that a lot in those days. So he had to pay the $19.95 at the post office upon delivery. That's how it worked in those days. Now, can you imagine ordering a gun through a magazine nowadays and not even putting your right first name?
Would be
But you could do it then. What?
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, but you could do it now. But just think about this. So Fritz gets this tiny little order form, and all of a sudden he's going to be able to match what? The gun with Oswald. Okay, so at 10:30 a.m. that morning, Oswald is taken back to Fritz's office for some more interrogation. 10:30 a.m. the 23rd, Oswald's taken back to Fritz's office and he's going to interrogate him with this new information. Now, Captain Fritz, as we mentioned, has the rifle used in the assassination of President Kennedy tied to the man that he's looking at. Okay? So, to open up the conversation with Oswald, typical Fritz, he asked him how he slept. Oswald's response, with a smirk, never slept better. Here's a guy that's in hot water. Never slept better, he says. Fritz then asked Oswald about the package he brought to work the day of the assassination. You know what Oswald told him the package was? His lunch. Told him it was his lunch. I'm not making this up. This is how off the wall this guy was. So Fritz says to Oswald, what about that package Lee you brought to work the day of the assassination? Oswald told him that was his lunch. Yeah. Yeah, I told Real Frazier that.
Oh.
Yeah, he told Fritz it was his lunch. This guy says, so what's Fritz asking him next? Hey, Lee, have you ever ordered a rifle under the name of A.J. Heidel? You ever ordered a rifle under that name? Oswald calmly answers, no. He said, well, what about that ID card that I found in your wallet, which said A.J. Heidel? Don't know anything about it. Now, this is where it even gets more interesting. While Fritz is interrogating Oswald at Dallas Police Headquarters, back at the Payne residence, Marina is kind of feeling down. She's looking at old photos of the couple. Okay, she's looking through a photo book, you know, kind of reminiscing, oh my God. And she comes across a photo that she had taken herself of her husband. Okay? and they took this photo, and I'll give you a copy of it. They took this photo in the backyard of their apartment, and this apartment, which we'll talk about later, was when they were still together before they separated. Okay, so she took this picture that I'm handing you in the backyard of their apartment before they separated and Lee moved to his boarding house and she moved in with Mrs. Payne. Okay, so she takes this photo. So what she's doing is she's reminiscing back at the Payne residence. Hasn't her life changed dramatically? She's kind of reminiscing. She's going through some photos of her and her husband, and she comes across a photo or two that she took of her husband in the backyard of their apartment prior to their separation. What's Oswald holding? The rifle. He's also holding a copy of a publication called The Worker and the Militant. So you can see he's got the rifle in one hand and he's got a copy of a publication called The Worker and the Militant, which I believe is on your ID sheet, is it not?
It is.
Yes. And what's he got next to him? You can't see it very good by his right arm. You can see it below his right arm. What's he got in his waistband? He's got the pistol. So there's a picture that Marina took, and she's looking at this picture thinking what? Oh my God. There's the rifle that shot the president, because she was been in and see the rifle, right? There's the pistol that shot J.D. Tippit, and I took the picture. So she all of a sudden becomes afraid of what these photos might do to her husband. So she takes them out of the scrapbook and hides them in her room. Okay? So she's afraid of what they might do to her husband. She takes them from her scrapbook and hides them in her room. Now what hasn't she done yet concerning her husband? Has she gone to visit her husband yet since the assassination? No. So at 1:10 p.m., she decides to go to the city jail to visit her husband and takes her mother-in-law, Marguerite, with her. So at 1:10 that day, after she discovers those photos she took, she decides to go visit her husband. She grabs her mother-in-law, Marguerite, and at 1:10 p.m. they go to the city jail. What's Marina's object or objective of going and seeing her husband? What? Well,
Did you
no.
want to like sell the story?
No, that her mother did. The mother
Oh, not
did.
Marina.
Yeah. Marina went there to ask him about the photos. I mean, she's just going, you know, is this the gun that killed the president? Is this the pistol that killed the police? I mean, she grabs Marguerite. Okay? So, when they get there, Oswald is pissed because he does not like his mother. So he's mad at his mother's there. I mean, honest to God, he's pissed off right off the bat because his mother's there. He can't stand her. But Marina's got to get him calmed down because she wants to talk to him about these pictures. Okay? So they walk in and right away, Lee Harvey Oswald's mad because he's upset, he doesn't want to see his mother. So Marina had to calm him down because she wants to have a conversation about these photos. Now Lee hints to his wife at that point, we can't talk here because I'm pretty sure this room is bugged. So he had a little of his mother in him, but he believed the room was bugged. So he told her, you know, we can't talk here, okay? Now, most of the conversation between Lee and Marina is about Lee ensuring Marina that everything will be fine. I've got people that are going to help me on the outside. So she's trying to talk about these photos, and most of the conversations, Marina, don't you worry, everything's fine. He's very calm. Everything will be fine. I got people on the outside helping me. You know, take it easy. He's the comforting soul in this conversation. Now, what's Marina also trying to do is she's trying to get a sense that her husband really was involved in these shootings. Okay, so she's visiting with him. She wants to talk to him about these photos. He doesn't let her have a chance to talk about the photos too much. He just simply is reassuring her everything will be fine. Don't worry, I got people on the outside, they're going to help me. And she leaves with no reassurance that he's innocent because of 3 reasons. 3 reasons she leaves thinking this, I have no reassurances that he wasn't involved. He probably was. The first reason she has a sense that her husband might be involved is as she leaves, she realizes this is not the man I know. This is, after talking to him for that period of time, she's thinking to herself, this is not the man I know. The second reason kind of ties in with the first one. The reason that this is not the man that she knew is her husband that she knew wouldn't have been calm and soothing. He'd have been protesting, banging on the table, yelling injustice, being denied his rights. He would be a general pain. And she didn't see that in him. And that's why she thought, this isn't the guy I know. Because the guy I know in this situation, after being accused of killing a police officer and the President of the United States, would have been yelling injustices. He would have been yelling, banging on the table, kind of like he did when Hosty irritated him in the interrogation. Third thing, ties in with the second, is he was just too calm for her, and he was too accepting of what was happening to him. He wasn't upset, he wasn't protesting, he had accepted this way too easily, which made her think, maybe this guy did do this thing. Okay, she didn't want to believe it, did she? No. And she went there with the idea to talk to him about these photos and be reassured that he wasn't involved. When she left, she had no reassurance. As a matter of fact, her thought process is he probably did this. Okay? Now, about those photos. You know what she doesn't know? The police came in and did a search of that property. And they found the photos. And there was more than just the ones in the scrapbook. They had others, but she didn't realize that. So they took photos. They already had these photos in their possession of him standing there. Okay? She doesn't know that. So Marina's unaware the police have already got a copy of the photo, which they found during the search of Ruth Payne's house.
While she was talking to him at the police station.
More than likely when Mrs. Payne and her went there yet. Well, Oswald at this point is back with who? Fritz, and they take him to a 4th lineup. 4th lineup. And who do you think's there to identify Oswald or whoever it was? William Scoggins. Do you remember who he was?
Manager of the...
No, that was Johnny Brewer.
the-
Cab driver. Cab driver. Okay? So William Scoggins, they've got him there. And they're going to line in, bring Oswald in with some other people, and he's going to try to identify the guy that shot Tippett. They're still on the Tippett thing. Now Oswald is, what surprises me, he's complaining like a madman now. That, hey, you make me stand out. I don't look anything like these other people that you're bringing in to compare to. You're doing this to me on purpose. Of course they're going to pick me out of the lineup. He's complaining the whole time as Scoggins is kind of looking at him, and he's complaining. And Scoggins takes one look at Oswald and he says, quote, he can bitch and moan all he wants, but that's the man I saw. So it was just kind of another crazy thing. So Oswald just whining it. Well, yeah, look at these other guys. They don't look anything like me. You're just setting me up. And he walks in there, and of course that's somewhat of a giveaway, but Scoggins said right away, quote, he can bitch and moan all he wants, but that's the man I saw. So everybody that's been in the lineup has picked Oswald out as far as the Tippett thing goes, okay? Well, it's at this point, and this is an important point, that Police Chief Jesse Curry, and we haven't talked about him much, he's the guy that would remember driving the lead car, but he is the Dallas Police Chief. He wants to move Oswald from the city jail to the nearby county jail. Okay? He wants to move him. And they want to transfer him at 4 o'clock that afternoon. That's when Police Chief Curry wanted to move him. And we're still talking about the 23rd of November. So he wanted to move him at 4 that afternoon. Okay? And why are they wanting to move him? Because they're a little concerned about his safety possibly. Okay? What else is going on at the time? The media circus is getting tiresome. And it was normal procedure, once a person was filed on, okay, that they moved him to the county jail until their trial. The city jail is where you brought him in and booked him and charged him, and then you moved him to the county jail. So it wasn't unusual. Well, why is Fritz not wanting to transfer him at 4 o'clock that day? Why does he want to have more time?
He wants a confession.
What? He still wants a confession. So he tells Curry, I still want to get a confession out of Oswald, I need some more time. So at that point, and this is crucial also, they agree to move Oswald, and I want you to put this in quotations, at approximately 10 a.m. the next morning, the 24th. So even though Curry wanted him moved at 4 o'clock on the 23rd, Captain Fritz wanted more time to try to get a confession on him because they were still on pretty slippery ground, although they could tie him to the rifle now, right? But they still wanted a confession, and he and Curry talk, and Curry agrees, and the two men decide that they are going to move him at approximately 10 a.m. the next morning. Okay? That's crucial because we'll get into some of this in a minute. Let's move to 4:30 p.m. on the 23rd. What has Oswald not obtained yet? Kind of crazy, but he hasn't.
A lawyer.
A lawyer. He does not have an attorney. So at 4:30 p.m., Oswald is allowed to make a phone call because he wants to secure an attorney. Okay? 4:30 p.m., Oswald's allowed to make a phone call to secure an attorney. Well, he calls the office of a New York attorney by the name of John Apt, which is on your ID sheet. And Apt is a very well-known defense attorney nationally, lives in New York. And so Oswald chose to call a New York attorney by the name of John Apt, who is a very well-known and well-versed defense attorney, a good one. So Oswald calls Apt's office. Unfortunately for Oswald, Apt is out on vacation. Now, how many phone calls are they going to give him? One. So if anybody's going to have to get a hold of Apt, it can't be him. So they do give him one more call because the guy's out on vacation. And who does he call and ask to try to call Apt and give this person a phone number because he is not going to be able to do that again? Who does he call and ask to do that? You'd think Marina. Mrs. Payne, who is absolutely astonished at his demeanor on the phone, considering all the hell that he's put everybody through. So, Oswald calls Mrs. Payne and asks her if she would call this attorney Apt for him when he gets back from vacation, and gives Mrs. Payne the phone number. And Mrs. Payne is a very nice lady. She agrees, but she is absolutely astonished on his demeanor considering how many people's lives he has wrecked here. You know what I mean? Including probably hers, and Marina's, and all the families, and the president's. I mean, it's just amazing to her. Well, Captain Fritz makes one more effort to get a confession out of Oswald before the transfer the next day. So he brings him back in his office. And what does he show Lee Harvey Oswald? The picture that's up on the wall up there of him holding the publication, the rifle, and has the pistol in his waistband. Okay? So, Oswald is brought back in for interrogation. Fritz uses his final piece of evidence to make Oswald admit that he shot both Officer Tippett and Kennedy. And he shows Oswald the photo that was taken by Marina with him holding the rifle used in the president's assassination. When Oswald sees it, he immediately tells Fritz that that's a fake. That's not my face on that photo. And he stumbles a little bit, and Oswald finally says the face in the photo is his. He says, that's my face, but that's not me. Not making this up. So after stumbling a little bit, Oswald finally admits that that's his face in the photo, but he says, quote, that's my face, but that's not me. So what's he claiming? Somebody superimposed, I'm not making this up, he says somebody superimposed his face on another body and he's never seen that photo in his life. That's what he tells Captain Fritz.
They didn't have Photoshop then.
Well, let me tell you what, here was Photoshop in those days. Really? He said superimpose. What he meant by that is somebody cut it out with like an X-Acto knife, pasted on and made a fake picture. But you're right, that was the Photoshop of the day. So he claims his face was superimposed on another body. He states he's never seen the photo before. At this point, Captain Fritz just came to the conclusion, this guy is in total denial, man. All the evidence is against him, and despite that, he is never going to confess. So he just basically took Oswald back to his jail cell and prepared him for what? The transfer the next morning. He figured out, I got no shot here. None. This guy is so in total denial it'll never work. Okay? We'll stop there today because we got some other things to do, and we'll talk about the transfer of Lee Harvey Oswald tomorrow. And we all kind of know what happens to him in that deal. Okay, I got a couple of things to share with you here. First of all, I'm going to hand you, and we got 10 minutes, I want these done before we leave. I'm going to give you a thank you note. I would like all of you to please write your own little thank you to Buell Frazier, thanking him for the autographed picture. Doesn't have to be long, but be sincere. Now, Buell's spelled kind of weird, so what's on your sheet, I guess you can get it off of that. Sometimes people get the E before the U or the U before the E. Now, thank you for the photo. Then, listen, I'm going to give you an envelope, and I want you to put your return address on the envelope, and I will give you his address to put on there. And the reason I'm doing that is because he might drop you your own personal note, and I think that would be kind of cool if he did. Now, I don't know if he will or not, but he does appreciate these things. So please write a nice note to Buell. And I'm going to write his address up on the board here, and I'd like you to address the envelope with not the school, but yourself.
We got a pen I can borrow.
You wanna do it in red?
Another one? I don't care if you're doing pencil or pen, it doesn't matter. Here you go. Here's his address, though, please. I'll pay for the postage.
Where do we address it? Top? Oh.
Okay, Buell Frazier, 630 Prairie Dell Street, Louisville, Texas, 75067. Okay, when you're done with those, put them up in the tub there, and then I will mail them for you today. He will very much appreciate it. What?
I thought you had that memorized. I didn't see
I
it.
actually-
I didn't see that.
Well, I just want to make sure to scribble, but I think I could have done it. Okay, while we're doing that, I want to make sure I have this right on the people that either helped last night. I haven't really got the money figured out yet. I've been crazy today on how much you're going to get, but I want to talk about that and something else. So what I want to know is how many people were there last night that either had a parent there or you were there. Okay? For this second, I'm going to go through my list because I'm going to see if I got it right. Michael, right?
Yeah.
Morgan?
Yep.
Courtney? Shelby Reed? Okay, Taryn?
Yep.
Josh?
Yep.
Jessica?
Yep.
Burke?
Yep.
Carolyn?
Yep.
Daylin? Anybody I missed?
Shelby.
Okay, Shelby, okay. Didn't know that, I'm just sorry. I tell you, I apologize, I wasn't much help. I refereed at 4, had to run to the girls and announce, and then the boys, and it was just crazy. Okay, I'll figure out what our total profit is, and then we'll split that up among you guys. Not gonna be a tremendous amount of money. I hope you don't think it's gonna be 300 apiece, because it certainly isn't. Okay, here's my next question as we're writing these thank yous. Mr. Miller has given us concessions tomorrow, or Friday. Yeah, Jessica got this for us. Now, it's a long day, 12 until cleanup, which will be about 10. Yes?
Me and Courtney and Morgan are definitely signed up to get out of school from noon to 3, and then Shelby was gonna come.
Okay, I'll take care of all that for you. Okay, now, I'm gonna want 2 people to work from 12 to 2, 2 from 2 to 4, 2 2 from 4 to 6, 2 from 6 to 8, and 2 from 8 to cleanup. Okay, now it doesn't have to be different people, but that's what we need, okay? So I want you to think about whether you want to do that, and I'll talk about it. Yeah? Shayna Soderstrom, and this is Mrs. Greek, is it not? Sure, I'll send her down. Okay, now, I don't care, but I'm just saying, the people that owe the most money right now, that are over the 4-digit number, are Schroepfel, Pennington, Miller, Hodges, Ermintrout, and Love. That is excluding what you earned yesterday, okay? So, if, I think those people should get a shot. Now, I'm thinking we need, if the more people we get involved, the less profit you make. Now, Mr. Miller told me that he estimated that we would make about $500 is what he's thinking on this concession, so they take a big cut, okay? So, if I get 5 people to work, which probably isn't enough, that's gonna be $100 a piece, so you gotta kinda understand if we get 10 people to work, it's gonna be about $50 a piece, but you do get out of some school, okay?
When is this?
It's Friday. Now, how many would be interested in working concessions on Friday? Raise your hand. Maybe. Yes, I didn't give you the envelopes. Did I go in? Sorry. Yeah, as soon as you get done, you want to get over to Mrs. Green. Okay, just a second here. Here's your envelope, and please do not leave today, even though I forgot to give you these without filling these out. Here, why don't you hand these out for me, Carol, be a big girl. Okay, all right, so who wants to work over in that row? Anybody in row 1? Okay, Courtney would like, and I'll have to make the decision. Courtney would like to work. Morgan would like to work. Hadley would like to work. Anybody in this row? Okay, this row. Okay, Josh would like to work. Jessica certainly would, since she set it up. Taryn, Saskia. Anybody in this row want to work? Okay, let's try it again. And nobody in this row, one more time in this row to make sure. I got Saskia, Taryn, and Jessica, Josh, Hadley, and Morgan, and Courtney. Anybody else? Okay, then we're going to have to set this up, and we got some time. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we're going to need 2 at each session, are we not? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions. So we're going to have to work more than 1, right? Okay, now here's the deal. I got to tell you this while you're doing this. I'm refereeing at noon. I mean, I'll do a hell of a job too. Anyway, which means that I'm going to leave this classroom at 11:30 Friday. Which means that if you're here Friday at 11:30, you have 2 choices. You can stay here in this room if you'd like, because I trust you, or you can go to watch the ball games. I don't care, either one. But don't do anything, which I don't think you will, that Mr. Smith will come up and say, what the hell are you letting these kids out of class for? Okay? Now, if you're working, you'll be excused from that time, 11:30, until the rest of the school day. Okay? And I'm not going to try to determine who's working well, what time you'll all be out. So if you're not working during a certain time, then make sure that you are in the gym or not screwing around, okay? And if anybody asks you what you're doing, you're going to tell them concessions. Okay, does anybody specifically want the 12 to 2 route? Okay, I only need 2 though. I got 2 here? Okay, so Taryn and Morgan. Okay, how about the 2 to 4 route? Okay, well okay, Courtney and Jessica, and we might have to double up here, so don't panic yet. Okay, how about the 4 to 6 route if I haven't got your name down yet? Let's try that first. Okay, Morgan, you want to work that one too? Who wants to work with Morgan from 4 to 6? I gotta have somebody. Okay, Hadley, perfect. Who wants the 6 to 8? Josh? Anybody else 6 to 8? Saskia, perfect. Love you guys, man. You're easy to work with. And who wants to work 8 to cleanup, which sucks? 3 would be good. Josh, Courtney, and Jessica. Perfect. Okay, I'll make sure you guys are all out of class from 11:30 on, and we'll go from there. Okay, perfect. You guys are awesome. I might keep you another quarter. Okay, as soon as you get those addressed and all, you can even lick them, because I don't want to lick 24 of them, frankly. Put them right in there. licking one is bad enough. Unless they were whiskey. That would be better.
That's why I like the ones that have the little plots.
My dad used to say. Yeah, get put his- make sure you put his address on there. They will send it back quickly if there's no address. Hey, I promised Saskia, since she's from Finland, that I was gonna go to Bridger and buy her a pair of these boots. Just take that. What do you think? She wears size 37 Euro, which I found out is 7 American. Yeah. What color you want? Poor girl's about to fall over her chair. I'm gonna do it. Going next Friday. Hey, I got a couple problems. I have to go next Wednesday to Cody, because we're gonna look at their AP courses that we might be putting in next year, and I might teach this as an AP course. So I'm gonna be gone Wednesday, then I'm gonna be gone Friday because I have a meeting at the college. And I'm guessing you'll be some guys Friday, so I'm not sure what we're doing Wednesday or Friday, but Friday, we'll probably put in, how many people, do we have a ball game away next Friday?
15.
Gone, right? Next Friday? Okay, we'll play it by ear. What a great bunch.
We don't have any credits. And you can just put on your application, we're just using free. I don't have the resources for you.
Yeah, let's not have anything Friday, Saturday, let's have them Tuesday, Thursday, or when, you know.
Is this what it is, the thank you notes last year?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, the kids wrote him thank yous last year, and that's what he sent, just to kind of like the group. But I sent everything in one package to him from my office, I put them all in one.
This year sending into the.
Yeah, I want to see if he'll send you each one. You know what, actually I do that. Yes, we did, we just get them all sent in. Hey, you don't know this, but I sent him a Christmas card. I sent Ruth Payne a Christmas card, and I sent Jim Lavelle a Christmas card from all of us. You remember when I had you sign all those extra cards of mine? And so they were thrilled, but anyway.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Durham.
Yes,
How old is Jim Lavelle?
94.
How old's Ruth Payne?
I don't know if I'm but she's in her 80s. See, Gil's only 19. And make sure you turn those in. Don't forget. Well, thank you, so you appreciate it. Okay.
No, I don't think.
Take some cookies with you if you want.
Just cookies last year. I'm gonna put my stuff in my locker.
You have
Ben Kretz, Jennifer Lopez, you have items and messages in the office. Ben Kretz, Jennifer Lopez, please come to the office.
Pretty sure her friends actually. Hey girl. I know like small rock. Yeah.
Is that what that is? Yeah, that's Jennifer, isn't it? Just making sure, but maybe so. This will be great, you'll go crazy. Send him some today, then I'll send some tomorrow, so they don't all get there the same day.